And we are back. Striker Tejas, your USL Championship podcast for the Texas teams. It has been a wonderful week. I have had a tough day here in Austin. I got locked out of my Gmail account, and I just found out today that I'm locked into Gmail. I couldn't do anything. My computer wouldn't work, my phone wouldn't work. Just crazy to get it back. Got lucky that I had an old phone that was able to get in and recover my ownership of my account, but I found out how much I am stuck to Gmail today. But anyways, everything's solved. Let's have a great night tonight. I'm gonna start tonight with the guy that got finally got the scores right or the points right for the weekend. Edson Ochoa, you got the 5 points, brother. How did you do
Yes. I don't
that?
know, but it really wasn't the combination of results that I was expecting, to be honest.
Yeah, but so did you enjoy your weekend? Did you enjoy your 5 points?
Oh, I definitely did. Like I mentioned, I wasn't expecting neither San Antonio or El Paso to, or one of them to not get the 3 points. I really was not expecting the Toros to get the 3 points. And you know what? Joe said it. Joe said it last week. He had more faith in the Toros than I did, and I think he should get some of the credit. To be honest.
So we'll go to Joe. Joe, a positive weekend overall, right? But for Texas, no losses, which is always good to not have a loss, but one win, two ties. How was your weekend?
Weekend was excellent. The vibes. I was able to attend the viewing party for the El Paso Locomotive, which excuse me, which took place at 10 in the morning here El Paso time with the noon Eastern kickoff for the Locomotive Detroit City FC game on ESPN. Viewing party was good. The game I think was something that the USL Championship could be proud of as far as the 90 minutes of that match, which we'll obviously talk more about. All in all, it was a good weekend. We're starting to get some rain out here in the desert Southwest in the
Oh my
borderland,
God,
which
we
is
got rain in
which is
Texas
always
at this
appreciated.
point.
It's been raining for a couple of days throughout the day, so we definitely love that, and all is good here in the borderland.
Yeah, well, we're talking about quickly. We're gonna go back to the game, but I think it was very, very cool. I think the cool thing about being a national game is the fact that I play my soccer in a gym here Saturday morning. It was so cool when I'm leaving from the game, from the gym, passing where the all the equipment is, everybody, and one of the TVs is showing USL Championship. Right? It would never happen if it was not on national TV. So I stayed there for a few minutes watching, and it was so cool. I think it's a huge win for the league, and of course, El Paso was lucky enough to be selected to that game. So that's pretty cool. Also deserved for that amazing front office. Again, I can't hide it. I'm a big fan of the front office of El Paso. So, um, Jonathan, you are in a hotel room in Colorado, making your mom and dad being quiet next to you so they don't show up and then we can't hear them. How is the trip up there, man?
Not a bad trip up. Like I was saying, we went San Antonio to Amarillo yesterday, Amarillo to Steamboat Springs, Colorado today. No better place to be covering Texas soccer than, a resort town in Colorado. Um, but yeah, I think people, if they're watching my screen, may have already seen me cast one or two glances over there, trying to make sure that they're quiet. So hopefully they behave for the next half hour or so. We'll see.
Well, if they show up, we'll put them on the mic. They know a lot about soccer. Also, they could be sitting with us here discussing all of that. So that's pretty cool. We're gonna get to the point where we're gonna talk, and then we're gonna leave that to last. The amazing game that you're gonna cover Friday, this coming Friday in Colorado. A final within the championship itself. That's at least how I'm looking at that Colorado Springs San Antonio FC game. But we're gonna talk about that. But let's go back to Edson with his Houston Astros. Is that a Houston Astros
A cap,
hat?
yes, yes.
Yes, yes, and an amazing dash jersey. The dash is doing great. It's so good to see the dash in a good positive vibe over the last few rounds. Couple of negative results, but many good results. So it's pretty good. Theodore, is doing an amazing coverage of the Dash on the Striker Texas, which reminds me, subscribe, follow us on social media. We can only do what we're doing if you subscribe and support us. So, Edson, a big win against Pittsburgh 1-0. How do you feel about that?
I feel, and the best way I can sum it up is this is the defensive lineup I've been wanting to see from RGV all of the season consistently. This is an RGVFC that was concentrated, that was able to kind of absorb the pressure, especially in the second half from the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. You had some plays where Eric Pimentel would made there was one clear save from Eric Pimentel where he kind of made a last ditch tack or slide to stop the ball from going in. You had Javier Garcia in his first home game of his career, getting a shutout, getting two saves on the game, and both of those saves being key, to keep that shutout. He hasn't looked nervous. I think I said it last week. He showed great potential in his debut against Oakland Roots, and he kind of continued the trend against the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Honestly, I was definitely surprised as well. The soccer is simple, right? You got to score more than your opposing team, right? And we talked about ad nauseum about how RGV really isn't the
The
biggest
best
converter,
on doing
the biggest
that.
converter of goals, right? Now, but what this team needed was a defensive foundation to lead them to the win despite not having a lot of chances on goals, because in this game, we talk about in other games how RGV kind of has more possession of the ball. They kind of have a lot of shots, but none of them on target, or very little of them on target. And this game was completely different, right? This was a game where it was mostly dominated possession wise by the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, as well as attacking opportunities. They had 11 shots. RGV only had five shots. But what Pittsburgh managed to make on goal, they were able to contain uh, very well up to the end of the 90 plus minutes. A very good result. And it just shows that this team can do it. But the question is, can they continuously replicate these
So,
performances the rest of the season?
so Edson, we talked a lot about last week, and Joe, I think he was the one that made that comment of playing. Pittsburgh is used to playing on a turf field, a small turf field, going to on a colder weather in so many ways, right? Although
Mhm.
the weather has been very warm up there now, the last few weeks, but they come down to playing in the largest field possible with the hottest temperature possible. Uh, how much of that big field and the temperature was influenced on this win, or it was bad for both of them?
I think it was the way I see it. I do feel like maybe kind of Wilmer Cabrera kind of played with that a little. Give Pittsburgh the ball, let them get tired trying to, and them just trying to contain. It was risky because I remember I criticized them against Oakland. I criticized for them, kind of parking the bus.
Allowing yeah,
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 but it seems like in this game it would the difference was being able to maintain the concentration for the 90 plus minutes. Soccer
cool.
sometimes gives, sometimes takes away. This time it gave to Wilmer Cabrera a really good 3 points at home.
Good to see you positive about Vilmer. We always want all the three coaches to do well, right? And it is tiring when they make mistakes out of mistakes. So you coming from you, especially Edson, giving that win or that positive vibe to Wilmer, I think it's a good sign. It's definitely a good sign. Joe, national television. big opportunity for El Paso to show what El Paso is, right? That new strong team from the last few rounds. The results, maybe we can say, didn't show that much. Although we discussed also that last week that a tie in Detroit wouldn't be a bad result overall. It was a tough game. Uh, who watched the game? If you're an El Paso fan and you watch that national TV game, would you say that they're proud? That fan is proud of what they saw in this game?
Oh, oh, most definitely, without a doubt. I think they're satisfied with what the body of work was for this team over the course of 90 minutes in Detroit City. Real quick, Roberto, you were talking about just being able to catch the game as you were leaving where you were at on Saturday because it was on national television. A lot of credit should go to Detroit City FC and their fan base because I think they packed their stadium which holds a little bit more than 7,000 people and it photographed very well on
It did.
television.
It did. It did look
The
good.
atmosphere was amazing, and I think the television production captured what the essence of USL soccer is. Typically, smaller stadiums that are very intimate, very close proximity to the field with the fans, and I think that the display that both teams put on, I think both teams went for it and try to get the result. And it showed over the course of 90 minutes. At the end of the day, I think El Paso was a little bit better than was Detroit. They were the better team. But I think at the end of the day, if I had to pick somebody to give the 3 points to, I don't think I necessarily could. I think both teams did what they had to do. They played their own style of soccer, and it produced an entertaining match for 90 minutes.
Very cool. It's hard to say that a 0-0-1-1 is an entertainment game, but it can happen, and it clearly was. And I agree with you. It was an amazing image, right? I think I would be very sad if I had seen a bad field or an empty, seats or whatever. It was perfect. I think ESPN, USL, and the two teams nailed it. It really looked good, and also great that it was not like a big like 3 or 4 5-0 game, right? It showed a good balance between the two.
And
Uh,
I also think that the goal for Detroit City, when it came in the first half, I think it came at a very, very good moment because it sparked, for El Paso to respond, and they were able to respond within the first 45 minutes. Within that same half, it made it a 1-1 tie. I mean, you couldn't wait until I know people at the viewing party where I was at the official viewing party. Everybody was eager for the second half to get started. Because it just kind of lit that match. It lit that, that it had that spark to make it an entertaining game in the second 45 minutes. And it definitely was that. Absolutely.
Very cool. Very cool. Going to Jonathan. Jonathan, a tie with Oakland at home, 1-1, and now we're gonna talk in a few minutes about Colorado. But what can San Antonio take from this tie at home to build and be strong to win maybe the hardest game away this week?
Yeah, like you allude to, not exactly the best result to go into this top of the table clash that we'll talk about, but I think it was a good performance from SAFC. You could tell after 49 days away from home, they were ready to be back. They started, I don't know if I've ever seen them start the match so aggressively, so proactively. Um, they were really pushing for that opening goal from early on and just kept giving Oakland what they could until Oakland took the lead off of shortly following a corner kick. Um, and to SAFC's credit, they had already been, like I said, giving Oakland everything they could, and so they just had to continue to do that. Eventually, got their equalizer shortly before halftime, and I think the chance creation and in a lot of cases the sort of chance taking was good in this match. It's just SAFC could never find that winning goal, largely because of Paul Blanchett. He came up with a few just fantastic saves, particularly throughout the match, really. Um, and I think what really kind of just killed this match was in the second half. You could tell Oakland was taking every opportunity they could to kind of just, okay, I got fouled. Let me milk this a bit. Let me kill the flow of the match. SAFC has been the better team here. Let's try and nullify that. And unfortunately, I don't usually. I said this on Twitter. I don't usually like to harp on referees, but this one he bought it, and he was not even necessarily biased toward Oakland, but just kind of inconsistent. There were times when one team would make a foul and he'd whistle it, and then the other team would make the same foul a few minutes later, and play would go on. So it just I don't know if it really got into SAFC's head, but I know the fans in particular were really letting him have it. Kind of like, okay, you need to be consistent. You need to clamp down on this time wasting that Oakland is doing. And I think if not for sort of losing the flow of the match, SAFC probably could have kept its momentum going and probably gotten a match winner in there. At some point, if you keep pelting Paul Blanchette, one of those has to go in. It takes a deflection or something, anything.
I find it very surprising that San Antonio kind of fell into that trap, as you were mentioning, Jonathan, because San Antonio, like usually in the key matches like South Texas derbies, they're very notorious for being aggressive and kind of playing at the limit of the law. And for them to all of a sudden, losing their concentration because they're getting fouls called against them, or they're not getting fouls called in favor. I feel like it's surprising for me, for a team that's used to kind of playing like that, at least in my eyes.
I mean, I
Very,
don't
very,
even, like I said, I don't even know if it necessarily got to them. Um, it was, I think, kind of just losing the flow of the match. Like I said, from a refereeing perspective, from a perspective of Oakland killing a lot of time, and what's SAFC supposed to do about that? It's kind of out of their hands. I think they were still doing about as much as they could. It's just for reasons outside of their control, couldn't ever get enough of an edge to get that winning goal.
very, very, very cool. I think it's still overall we're maybe even the best position if we talk about, look about the standings now. We got San Antonio FC sitting second, 31 points, 14 games. El Paso sitting sixth, 25 points, 17 games, and RGV sitting seventh, 22 points, 16 games. If I'm not mistaken, I can be wrong. I think it's the first time that the three are in playoff position, right? For the
Yes.
first
I would
time
agree. I
all
believe so. I
season
believe
long,
you're right.
I mean,
right?
we know El Paso wasn't for the first month or so.
That's
So
what I'm
Yeah.
saying. And then later on, RGV went down. So I think overall a great weekend, a great result. And even listening to you guys talking positive, all three of you talking positive about the teams, I think it's a first, at least this season. I don't think we had this moment so far. So got some, in my opinion, I think we got two very tough games this weekend, or this this weekend, starting on Wednesday, and then one game that should be an easy one in my opinion here. So first game on Wednesday. So there's a chance that even when some of you are listening to this, the game already happened. So make sure that you follow the Striker Texas social media and our site to know what went on. Uh, so Wednesday night, 8 p.m., RGV's flying to New Mexico. New Mexico is now sitting fourth with 25 points in 13 games. But I think the special thing about it is not the fact that they're sitting fourth with 25 points, is the fact that they got five straight wins. They are in that best moment of the season that every team wants to have. Tough game for RGV, Edson.
Definitely, it's a very difficult match for RGV because New Mexico United is the best defense in all of the USL Championship. They've only allowed 10 goals. They have the same amount of goals scored as RGV does, both at 23, but the difference has been that New Mexico has had a much more consistent defense. Another thing, obviously, is they're good. The Toros will be playing at Isotope Stadium, on a baseball field, a stadium that has been very difficult for RGV historically. Um, and I honestly think that RGV may not get the win, but I feel confident that they will have enough to kind of cut that winning streak for New Mexico United.
I'll tell you, if they bring a point back, it's they can consider 3 points. It's a huge win, I think, in my opinion, on this one. Again,
Oh, okay,
not an
okay.
easy
Wait,
game.
but also let's not anoint New Mexico United as yes, they're on
Oh,
a good streak.
the
They're on
rival,
a
the
good streak.
rival, the
They're
rivalry
on
is
a good
coming up.
streak. They're on a good streak, but it doesn't mean that they're a good team. I mean,
Well,
the soccer that they
yeah.
play, the soccer that they play. I mean, let's get real here. I mean, they will lull you to sleep. It's more bland than
I mean,
vanilla.
it's the same. It's the same thing. If we want to talk Liga MX terms, it's the same thing as Tigres under Tuca Ferretti, but they were effective.
No, no,
Okay,
no, 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 no. But Tigres had punch. They had quality. Come on now.
I don't know, man, because right now New Mexico United is actually the equal in points as you guys in El Paso.
Oh
Yeah,
no, absolutely. I mean, and yeah, and they have
again.
games in hand. Also, El Paso. I mean, one thing also that for the locals is with this last game against Detroit City, they're at 17 games. That marks the halfway point of the season for El Paso. So yeah, no, no, they're that. But I mean, I think week in and week out, I don't think New Mexico gets results, but I don't think I've ever seen a highlight package. I've ever seen a game where
Yeah,
it's New Mexico United is an entertaining team, or oh my God,
could,
there's a wow element
you,
to the way they
you,
play. It's
you,
not.
I mean,
you could be right, but Joe,
points
it's a
get you in
team
the
that has
playoffs.
won.
Oh no, no, I
Yeah,
understand that. No one's arguing that, but for us to be saying, oh my God, and for you to be saying, oh, it's gonna be tough with
well,
teams like that, it doesn't take a whole lot, and all of a sudden you get the best
I
of them.
30 days ago, which again, 30 days for USL might be a long period. When they started this winning streak, they beat Phoenix 7-0, right? So again,
That
there's
game doesn't count. That game
There
does
were
not
some
count.
mitigating circumstances there.
oh,
That game
sounds
does
good.
not count.
All right. So let's move forward. And let's see. Again, I think we all can have different opinions. I do think that a win or a point there is a big thing for RGB, especially also not even talking about New Mexico, talking about the history of RGB over the last few games.
Oh,
To be able to have this
no, I agree. I
momentum
agree
might be
completely.
very good.
I agree completely. I agree completely with what you're saying, Roberto. With that element, I agree with. What I'm saying is also, it doesn't also take a lot to get a result against New Mexico United because, simply put, I don't think they're that
That
spectacular
good.
of a team.
Yeah, sure.
So I mean, things can happen real easily where all of a sudden things fall in the opponent's favor. And with a team like RGV, I mean, I'm
Oh,
sure
and
the
we
boys are
learned
going
that
to go in there
USL,
not
anything
wanting,
can happen on USL also, right?
right, right, exactly. There's that
It's
element
easy to
to
I
it
go
think
too.
on.
I think we should ask. I think we should ask Jonathan, since the last time New Mexico United lost was against San Antonio FC.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I from that match and even some matches SAFC has played there before. It may not necessarily be the most beautiful match. Part of that might be due to the pitch, but they're. I don't think they're a bad team, and I don't think they were a bad team from the way they performed against SAFC 2 months ago, and they still lost. But I think they were creating some good chances.
And
SAFC had to really
SAFC was
weather a storm
playing.
there.
SAFC at that point maybe had the best soccer in USL Championship at that moment 2 months ago, right? I think they were playing very well overall. So also difficult game. But anyways, talking about SAFC in Colorado. Actually, no. Let me change this a little bit. Let me go to 8:30 on Saturday, and then we're going back to Friday game. 8:30 p.m. Saturday in El Paso. El Paso is playing what for me, of course, not for me, for anybody would say the easiest game of the three, right? Playing New York Red Bull. New York Red Bull is sitting last in the league overall. They had one win. They have one win in the season. It was on the second game. They haven't won a game since the second game of this season, in March 18th. So that must be a tough environment to be on, in or with or whatever you want to call it. So El Paso plays New York Red Bull at home Saturday night, 8:30 p.m. Joe, any risk of a surprise on this one?
I sure hope not. Once again, anything can happen. Anything can happen on the USL Championship. But no, hopefully, there is a concrete. There's some consistency in what John Hutchinson decides to go with the starting 11. As far as what I look for in this game, guys, obviously leaning towards the fact that El Paso should be a significant favorite in this game to get the 3 points, to get the win. But I think more important than that, I think the locals have to score goals in this one. In 6 of their last 7 games, they've only scored 1 goal in every single match for either a 1-0 win or a 1-1 tie. And while yes, the locals unapologetically go on the attack, and they're very proactive in trying to create as many chances over the course of a match. Recently the ball just hasn't been going in the back of the net. So I look forward to hopefully El Paso scoring more than 2 goals come Saturday night en route to a victory. I think that would be very important to give some of these players that are responsible for putting the ball in the back of the net the ability to do so and give them confidence moving forward. I think a thorough victory with a wide margin of victory would obviously be an excellent way to start the second half of the season for El Paso.
Very cool, very cool. So, going back to the game of the week for me in USL overall, right? If there was to be a national televised game this weekend, I think this should be the game to be. Uh, San Antonio FC is meeting Colorado, who's first in the West Conference. We can't forget that, and I remember this Mark Bay saying this beginning of last year when I was saying bad things about Colorado, and he was saying this is a strong squad, this is a strong team, and they have been very consistently strong since the beginning of last year, right? Very difficult to do this in USL. So Friday night, 8 p.m. Central Time, San Antonio FC playing Colorado. I'll start with you, Jonathan, but I want the opinion from the three of you. Uh, what should we expect from this game?
Well, first of all, I think for the Switchbacks coming off of their last game, yes, they won, but it was 4-3. Like, something I've heard from them this season is, well, kind of reflecting on last season, they didn't necessarily have the defense that they needed. Obviously they had the Golden Boot winner, they were scoring a lot of goals, but they were also conceding a lot. This year, from what it sounds like, they had kind of shored that up, but the last match maybe indicates otherwise. So I'm sure they're going to want to be on their guard defensively, particularly after that last result. So it's going to be tough for SAFC to find a way through that defense. Obviously, you've got the altitude playing a part, but at the same time, I think SAFC is going to be looking for it's not necessarily revenge, but just trying to set things right after what happened in their last match against Oakland, where they deserved 3 points probably and weren't able to get it. So they might come out with some extra fire underneath them. The thing I'll add, I guess, is it's funny that you say this should be on national television, because this was on national television in mid-July last year. Like 1 p.m. I had the sunburn to prove it afterward. A shame it's not happening this year, because this should be a very good game, very good advertisement for the league.
Yeah, and going back to that, Colorado is on a 3 game winning streak, so that's also an important piece. So they're also in a good moment, not just overall, but over the last few games. Joe, Edson, either of you want to comment also on this game? What do you expect from this?
Edson, go first.
I'm honestly, uh, I'm honestly expecting San Antonio to be able to take advantage a little bit of the weaknesses on defense by the switchbacks. I think if there's anybody that can do it, it's got to be San Antonio, and I the only thing I can say is going to be very entertaining, but I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as people might think it's going to be. And I am actually going to. I actually believe that San Antonio has what it takes to get a to squeak by a win. Against the switchbacks, especially when you got key players coming back and in good momentum. I think that's going to be a good boost for San Antonio.
Joe.
Completely on the opposite side of Edson. I think this game's just gonna,
Mm.
all of the tactics might just slightly go out the window, and I think there's gonna be early goals in this one. I don't know why, I just get that feeling, and then I think from there, just kind of it's gonna fall apart as far as game plans or match, the way that we're gonna go about the match goes. And then, at the end of the day, I think that goes out the window, but that leads to a very, very entertaining match.
Yeah, this is. I can tell you guys. I've been on front offices of clubs, and this is the kind of game that every player wants to play, right? If not, of course, the obvious finals and playoff games on a regular season game. This is the game that everybody's going to come in concentrated, wanting to make it happen. Again, I think it's going to be very, very entertaining because it's just two quality teams, right? If we have questions if New Mexico is a quality team, I don't think we have that those questions about San Antonio and Colorado are two good teams. All right, getting to the end of our podcast here today. For our predictions, again, Edson got it right last week. I was all positive, thought that we were going to get the 9 points. To be honest, I think we are almost there. It wouldn't have been a surprise if we had the 9 points this weekend. But okay, I was wrong. Jonathan and Joe were 1 point behind. Thought it was going to be 4 points, and Edson got the 5 points there. So very cool. So I'm going to start with myself because I think it's fair. But Edson, you're going to be go after me this time. You're not going to be last. I think it's
Okay.
fair with the other guys. Okay. So I'm going to go with 4 points on this game. Clearly, I think El Paso is going to take the 3 points, and I think we take one tie and one loss on either one of the other two games. And I don't know how it's going to come out to be. So that's my prediction. 4 points. Edson, what is yours?
7.
All right. Positive Texas out there, man. I love this. I love this. I was more positive at the beginning of the season. I got bit by that snake. So I'm a little bit more, feet on the ground. Jonathan, what is your prediction?
You know what? I'm gonna, just because of what happened last week, I'm gonna let Joe go first because he
All right,
always
Joe.
goes after me.
Joe, go
I'll
for
give
it,
him this
Joe.
one week.
That's fair.
I-
That's fair, Joe.
Okay, my point prediction has to make sense with my arguments over the course of these past 30 plus minutes.
All
So
right.
with that being said, 9 points. All three of them win. New Mexico United,
Oh my
who?
God, New Mexico
San Antonio
United.
FC proves
I
that
feel a
they're
little
a
bit of
better
your
team than
heart
Colorado.
on that process.
San Antonio proves that they're a better team than Colorado as far as over the course of so far all of this season, and that comes to fruition also against each other. And then, of course, the Locomotives get the 3 points, hopefully scoring a lot of points, or
I
hopefully scoring a lot of goals.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Jonathan, what are you going for?
I think I know I'm undercutting Edson and Joe here. I think I'm going below you as well. I'm just gonna go with 6 points. I mean, I don't know. There's some tough games, like we've said, and I guess I don't know. I just like to be pessimistic, perhaps.
Yeah, I wish I could believe it the 9 and the 7. I truly have a hard time, but I think anywhere 4 and 6 is a good bet for this one. But again, I haven't got anyone right this season, so not necessarily the best person to be commenting on this. So again, Jonathan, enjoy the game there in Colorado. I think it's very cool that you're there. I would maybe say that there's nobody that has visited that stadium more than you have besides the Colorado Springs Switchback fans and staff. So Enjoyed that game. I think it's going to be an amazing game. We're going to be watching on TV, ESPN Plus, every game on the USL Championship. You can catch on USL on ESPN Plus. Um, Anything before we go, guys? Anybody wants to add anything that we haven't talked about?
No, I just want to send a huge congratulations because RGVFC just signed a 15-year-old for a USL Academy contract. He is the youngest player by the team to be signed, and Dylan Hernandez. I'm looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table, and I know we can probably leave this for maybe another podcast, but I do want to hear your thoughts about Wilmer Cabrera's decision to start signing all of these academy players. I think so far we've had like five.
I like that. I like that, and I think it's a good conversation for next week. Let's make sure that we bring that up. Remind me about that next week, and let's talk about it. Talking about young players, Diego Luna doing a great job on the U.S. under 20 national team. Right, it's on a good moment. I think he's gonna do great with RSL there, and we're gonna be talking a lot about this kid. Well, if
and,
anybody
and
knows, we knew about that, right? We've been talking about that for over 2 years now.
And also another El Paso connection right there with Real Salt Lake, who's also on the under 20 team. Center defender Jaciel Orozco, he's playing with Diego Luna right now in the under 20 team for the United States national team. And he's also with Real Salt Lake. Going to see if I can reach out to the media relations director over at Real Salt Lake because doing a co-interview with those two, with obviously the El Paso connection that they have,
That would be
and
great.
to talk to their head coach. I think it would be something very special for our striker readers and
And,
subscribers.
and that's the kind of stories that you can only find at the Striker Texas. Nobody else would be trying to reach and to make that story happen. So again, for us to keep doing what we're doing, subscribe. For less than a latte a month or a beer a month, you can have the best soccer coverage of the state of Texas. And not just that, make sure that we have independent coverage of soccer in our state, which is uh, been lacking before the Striker Texas came over. So again, thank you very much. Subscribe, follow us on social media, and support local soccer. See you next week, guys.